Okay, hi, my name is Edwin Kweku. I am Communications Director for Food Sovereignty Ghana. I've been with Food Sovereignty Ghana since 2015, and in my 8th year, it's been a wonderful journey, an experience of learning, and just getting in touch with yourself. And so this was very much part of my purpose, and I ended up being here, not deliberately coming into Fusom, but I was recruited by a colleague, and it's been 8 years since. But I'm very happy for the work we've done. We've done some very serious advocacy work in Ghana. We have been at the forefront of fighting against the inclusion of GMOs into our agricultural system. And we've also done a lot of litigation in court to that effect. It's only law that will stand. And so if there are laws that are detrimental to, local farming systems and local seed systems, then we need to challenge them in court. So we challenged the Plant Breeders Bill very strongly when it was in the parliamentary stage. We did it to such a point that the former Speaker of Parliament asked that the bill be put on hold for further consultations. So that sort of dragged it out, and finally the government passed the bill in 2021. So now we have the Plant Variety Protection Act. But we had some very serious concerns within that bill in its structure. If it wasn't for Food Sovereignty Ghana and the advocacy work that we did, one of the clauses, specifically clause 23 of the old bill, specifically stated that a plant breeder's rights shall be independent of the laws of Ghana, which we thought parliamentarians couldn't have missed that detail, couldn't have passed such a law, which would, be detrimental to our interests, that our constitution has no right on a plant breeder's rights. But now the law states that a plant breeder's rights shall be subject to the laws of Ghana, together with other clauses which we had problems with, the criminalization of farmers, not allowing them to save and exchange seeds. We believe these are fundamental rights guaranteed under the UN Charter and many other international treaties, the Nagoya Protocol, and so on. So we've done a lot of advocacy for that. Currently, we are in the Supreme Court challenging the constitutionality of the Plant Variety Protection Act and how it was passed. We also against, issues, for instance, the new act where a farmer can get up to 10 years imprisonment for saving or selling seeds. Now, this is unprecedented as far as we know on the planet, because even in the US, where Monsanto operates, I think it's about a 2-year sentence. And it's even an issue of a company taking on an individual for breaching their intellectual property. Here, it seems to be the state is sort of helping to protect that plant breeders' rights. And so we've been at the forefront of a lot of advocacy. We also have a case in the High Court challenging the whole issue of whether we need to go GM or not. That's because we realize that there are 4 fundamental challenges in agriculture in Ghana and in extension the whole of Africa, really. One is the lack of credit given to farmers. Second is a lack of irrigation technology, so most farmers are still relying on rainfall. Third is a lack of post-harvest infrastructure, to save what you've harvested so that you don't lose. And then the last one is the road from the farm gate to the market. These don't exist. And so our question is, these are the low-hanging fruits that any African country should challenge before you even thinking going GMO. Because GMO will still rot on the farms if there are no roads to take it to the market. And GMO will still rely on rainfall. It won't bring in irrigation technology. GMO is not going to provide credit to farmers, and it's not also going to build warehouses, so the GMO might still rot in the manner that you store it. So when we look at it from a civil society point of view in Ghana, we feel that these are the immediate challenges that we face, and not the constructed challenges that come through the very complex research and everything that results in an African country being told that you need to do this, you need to go this way. And these 4 issues, like I say, affect every African country. So if we're going to do that, Have we tackled the things that affect us the most? And the answer there is no. So it's very easy for us in Ghana, as from a civil society point of view, to see that the whole GM push is an external influence agenda. That even Ghanaian scientists and Ghana doesn't have the resources to go into genetic modification as such. And so, for instance, the cowpea that was genetically modified and they're trying to release it in Ghana was produced in Australia and brought to Ghana. And there's always this air of trying to say that we are pulling Ghana backwards by not going the biotechnology way. But we are far from exhausted the natural means with which we can tackle some of these, and agroecology is an example to show you that, for instance, on farms where you go and they were practicing agroecology, during the attack of the armyworm, the bollworm, on those farms, they didn't get affected by the bollworm because there are natural existing systems that are in place. In fact, a worm in nature is a delicacy. So it's a delicacy for birds, for lizards, for frogs, mice. And if you have all these existing on a farm, obviously a worm is not going to be any champion. But this is the result of the highly commercial, high chemical, energy intensive farming that we're doing, which is unsustainable. And many reports around the world, even the United Nations report on sustainability says this, that we're going to have to do this shift away from agroecology, away from commercial agriculture to adopt more agroecology. And we're in a setting here where you can see a very nice balance. And that's what we want for our future generations. We want to be responsible in the management of our environment so that we are able to bequeath to them what we also came to find from our ancestors. Well, this fair is very important because it means that all is not lost. This fair, bringing together more than 20 countries from Africa with very serious organizations who are working on the ground. Every single person that you see here has a knowledge of the local people, how they operate and what their interests are, what their needs are. So it's very encouraging that we have such a network of people operating across the continent, because this will further the position of indigenous knowledge systems. As I mentioned before, that the whole talk of productivity only occurs within the sphere of a capitalist philosophy, because seed is a representative of the benevolence of nature. Nature gives, and in traditional African communities where we share, where we live in a communal nature, the issue of productivity doesn't really arise. So where one seed doesn't really give of its best, others do. And so you rely on your brother, you rely on your friend and your family. So the issue of productivity, we find, falls within this context where you're really pushing some capitalist approach. And meeting people around here, it's encouraging because it means that local seeds are being saved. As long as local seeds are being saved, it'll be up to people who want to choose whether they want to eat a stalk of maize that is completely yellow, or they would like to eat some maize that has some red, orange, and even green. If you look at maize from Mexico, there's some purple ones, blue, and you wonder that, is this maize? But this is what nature gives, and we have manipulated it to suit our purposes, and in the end, mess things up. You can't tell me that the multicolored looking maize has the same nutritional value as just a yellow maize. And so in tweaking all these things, we're losing a lot from what nature really meant us to enjoy and have. So this is a wonderful event. I'd like to thank all the sponsors, the organizers, COASP, people like AFSA who are doing good work on the continent, because it's through their kind of leadership that these kind of issues are raised. It's through their leadership that African countries get to increase the voice of what we're saying. And so when you have sham meetings like what we had just recently in Dakar, where African nations are trying to seem as if they are working towards the interests of the welfare of farmers, you have groups like AFSA come out to say that this is a sham because it's not inclusive of the farmers' interests. There were very few of the farmers there, and it's mainly corporate. So this is a very good event.